seen the news. It blew up a couple days ago. Conor McGregor is fighting Manny Pacquiao, slated apparently for somewhere in the Middle East in December. That's what Conor said on Twitter. That's what his manager said. And then everybody thought, oh, this is bullshit. Manny's team even said there's no reason for him to fight him like months ago. Well, Manny said he's going to do it in order to help fund the COVID response in the Philippines. What are your thoughts on the fight, man? I don't know what to really say for this one in terms of competitive matchmaking. But what are your thoughts on the fight even happening and occurring?
You know something? It's for a good cause, man. I think that's all that matters. I try to be positive. You know, he's doing it for his country. I think like Manny, honestly, Manny, when it comes to guys who've done like a lot outside of boxing for their nation, Manny's like one of the first guys you got to think about. You know, he's actually part of the government there. Or I don't know if he still is, but he's actually been part of the government there. He's done a numerous amount of things for them. So it doesn't surprise me he would be willing to do something like this. And you know, Manny doesn't have to do this because he's fighting at a high level still, and just became world champion of the world again. You know,
Yeah.
he's easily set up for another big fight. And honestly, he could be out of boxing now if he wanted to, and he could have ended it on a high by having one of his last fights against a really good guy. You know, against Keith Thurman, and he's still fighting for success even at 41 years old. He's not, giving up. He wants another one. And if he fights Conor, I mean, that's a lot of money, man. I think he realized that is a lot of money for the people, and I think he's looking at it purely from the people's standpoint, not necessarily from a boxing standpoint. Fame thing, because Manny has so much fame. You know, Manny has everything. Manny's not worried about any of that. I think for him, it's just him helping his nation, and that's it. I think he has just pure intentions.
Yeah, and that's part of why I'm not really mad. I saw a lot of boxing guys really pissed off this fight's happening. And I get it. You know, you got this guy, Manny, he's a champion, which is part of it. And he's still one of the top boxers in his division. And, you know, he's going to be fighting this MMA guy, and it's going to make a lot of money and all that. It probably won't be very competitive. I assume Manny's going to knock him out in the second. But, you know, if it's really him trying to do it to support his country, which is being hit really hard by COVID right now, I don't even care, man. Straight up, good for him in that case. In that type of situation, I don't see why people are going to get mad. Obviously, people are going to get mad about anything, but at the same time, good for him. I think that's a good idea. But really quick, just learned some information about Conor McGregor also, which I'd say is the news that I'm more looking forward to. Apparently, according to Dana White a minute ago, that he actually offered him and the UFC actually offered Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier a fight. Now, right now, apparently, that's a fight that Conor McGregor and Dustin were going back and forth on Twitter about wanting to do without the UFC involved, because the UFC would not give Conor a fight. Well, I guess Conor and the UFC must be on better terms because I guess Dana just offered him the fight. What are your thoughts on that? Just hearing that live right now.
We haven't talked about we didn't even bring it up, but we didn't bring up the charity match that Dustin offered, right? And that Conor offered.
Yeah.
That was the whole thing. They were doing it outside of the UFC, which was like, what? They have the UFC available. Why wouldn't they do it with the UFC?
Well, they legally can't either.
Yeah, well, there you go. But still, you know what I mean. They're going to do it in Ireland. It's going to be a whole thing. But, to be honest, I think, and I thought, did we bring this up? I could be wrong, but I think one of us or someone might have mentioned, like, Conor Dustin isn't a bad fight. Even knowing that fight already happened, though, right? If I remember right.
And they fought at featherweight. Conor knocked him out inside of a minute, and that was part of his big rise. It was his first real big fight against a contender.
Yeah, so who knows what happens now? Years later, different weight class, different story, different experience. Everything's changed. It's a different story. Who knows? But I think that's a good fight to make.
Dustin just said on Twitter, "I accept," referring to Dana's offer that the UFC made